Welcome to another AriasWave update. Once again, we're looking at Bitcoin, and I want to present to you another view that I have on this that will potentially knock your socks off. Okay, so this is actually a very interesting way to look at these waves, and if you want to think that I am too bullish, look. I'm just showing you the waves. You can make up your own mind. Okay, now this is the old view, which is, sort of my current view, right? It is my current view. This is like a realistic view. You could say it's a realistic view. But there's just something more that I've discovered recently in the waves that just kind of makes me question a lot of the things that are going on. Okay, and I'll explain what I mean. So in this particular view, my idea is that basically, we've had a wave one, we've got A, and then now we're forming a B wave, right? So within that B wave, you've got your A, you're going to see A, B, C, D, E, boom. That sort of thing happen, right? Um, yeah. Okay. So that's my first view. Okay. We call that view one. Okay. And that's sort of what gives me the B wave interpretation of, what's happening in the altcoins, because altcoins came out a bit later, anywhere from 2015 onwards. You see this, a 5-wave move followed by a corrective pattern that's going on. Right now, there are a couple of things that make me have to consider another view. One, because you have to have an alternative view in this market because it's so new, and also pieces of evidence put together really make me think whether altcoins are in a B wave or if they're in a beginning of a bull run that will exceed all expectations, right? And that's the thing that has really had me questioning this view. So I'm going to present to you another view now, okay? So let's just get into it. So view one, let's put that one to sleep for a minute. Okay, now this is what I have for view two. This is working with the idea that we're in a 1-2-1-2 scenario, right? So you've got wave one, A, B, C, D, E. That's wave two done. Another wave one, A, B, and we haven't seen C, D, E yet. And it doesn't mean that they're going to go down very far if that's the case, which is kind of a little bit more in line with what I'm seeing in altcoins, which is absolutely insane. One also must ask the question, well, why would Elon Musk get into this? Or why would a lot of other institutions get into this? And it's kind of like, it makes me really wonder and put two and two together, right? Because we're not going to see a huge move down in altcoins. And something tells me we're not going to see a huge move down in Bitcoin. Now, if you look back here, back in 2016 area, you can quite clearly see that we had the A wave, the B, and then a small C, the D, and then a small E, and then we had liftoff, right? Very simple corrections, and you could already see that the B wave here has already exceeded the top. So this is very curious. This is very interesting, right? This makes me think, whoa, hang on a minute. Does that mean altcoins are about to explode? And that's what makes me really think that, you know what, it's very possible. So where do we see C wave falling down towards? I'm not saying to this trend line. I'm just laying this down here because it's just interesting to see, how this is sort of on a launch pad, right? So could we see something like a 5-wave move down that maybe goes down, somewhat to the previous 4th wave or something, and then followed by another zigzag D wave, and then an E wave. Look, it's happened before. Who says it won't happen again? Okay, and then what does that mean? Well, there is actually no limit to where this could go. There is no limit. Like, if this is just the beginning, I really cannot tell you the insanity that could be potentially going on here. Now, just to make things a little bit more interesting, let's just let's just get rid of this for a sec, and let's just do this. Would it be? Hang on. Would it be? Let's go to A to A. Let's just go A to A. Right. A to A to the top of 1 there. All right. So let's just say, for example, that you're kind of like, okay, well, you've got your 1 and 2, right? Just say, for example, you've got your wave 2 right here in place, and then we're going to start subdividing from there. Now, that's pretty crazy stuff, by the way. Obviously, you know that. So what exactly could this pattern look like? Now, it could look like this, or it could be completely different, right? It could go a bit lower and then sort of congest in this area for a bit longer before we get a 1-2 breakout. Now, obviously, the breakout of this channel will be wave 3 price action. And look, don't look at me silly because of this. Don't think that this is insane, because I also believe that there's going to be a lot of other things going on at the same time when this happens, and I think it's got a lot to do with hyperinflation. So, will the market ever crash? Could they potentially keep it going? Well, that's hyperinflation in my opinion, because they're doing things that they shouldn't be, and they are just keeping this thing going. So whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. This gives us some insane potential. It's just too ridiculous to even go there, and it's, to me, like, I'm just looking at how these waves are repeating themselves, and it's just like, well, how come there's so much strength in the B wave compared to the previous B wave? If this was a wave, just looking at all the possibilities, it's just like, okay, well, maybe it is a B wave, but that's a huge B wave. Like, that's a huge B wave, and judging by how shallow the C's and the E's are in certain moves, in these type of moves, it's like, okay, that's pretty crazy stuff, right? It's pretty crazy stuff. Now, there is one other way to look at this, and that is that potentially we could be seeing a leading diagonal, right? So where we've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then 5 for the final high. Okay. Now, that one makes a bit of sense in a way, because it kind of says, okay, look, you're going a bit crazy there. There's a bit of mania hype going on, right? And when I say a bit of mania hype, it's like, it's pretty crazy mania, right? So that one would be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scenario, and then we'd go into correction, right? We'd go into whatever it is, right? I don't want to go there yet, right? I know what the corrections look like, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what this could be, right? So it could be like yeah, like I said, a leading diagonal that is, it might not even be a leading diagonal. It might actually just be a wave one, a 5-wave wave one of something much bigger, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that might explain why this correction looks bigger than this correction, right? Because it's alternation. When you're dealing with alternation, it's kind of like if wave 2 is short and sharp, which this one clearly is, then wave 4 should be long drawn out. So that means that we may see a bit of a bigger dip, or it may not dip, it may just do what I'm saying here, and then basically just go for that, the top of that channel there, right? Because wave 3 can't be the shortest. Therefore, once we do get this wave 5 in progress, that can't be longer than wave 3 because wave 3 is shorter than wave 1. You get me? So it can never be, wave 3 can never be the shortest if that's wave 3 here. Okay, so that seems a little bit more realistic to me, right? If I must say so myself. The 1-2 scenario is off the charts, okay? And to be honest with you, that's too crazy, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to, what comes after this, if that is a wave 1 or whatever, then you'd see your correction all over again. Obviously, you'd have to see, I'd probably say, a move back to the previous wave 4, which is basically this area anyway, okay? So although it could bubble up like crazy now, it might bubble up like crazy in the future again, right? It's probably not going to end. But it's probably the beginning of something big. And if hyperinflation doesn't happen immediately, then I do believe it'll happen eventually. And this could be just sort of like the beginning phases of something much bigger that's coming in the future. And so anyway, like, I know the video's gone long enough, but I'm just trying to give you some perspective here as to what could potentially be going on. If I had to just quickly change those labels to give you a bit more perspective on what I meant just then, that would be wave 3, then you'd see wave 4 here, and then you'd see wave 5 there. Okay, and that would be basically the end of wave 1, right? If you had to look at it like that, as the first move up in the world of cryptos, right? So this one explains to a slight degree what we're seeing potentially in the altcoins. Okay, so we would have seen a wave 1, 2. We could be about to see like wave 3 come soon, which actually means that altcoins will, potentially skyrocket. Yeah, so look, let's just take it a step at a time. It's pretty crazy stuff, but at least this AriasWave gives me the ability to sort of have different views and, not get too bearish after being bearish before. Understand that there's obviously they're fractal patterns, so they can materialize in different ways, and it's just good to have a broader perspective on what those could be. But to be honest with you, this makes a bit of sense because you can see that the trend is strong, but at the same time, it's only still young, so it's a very speculative market. I'm not saying that the gyrations after this, if it corrects, are going to be stabilizing because when you oscillate between these prices, how stable is that? But at the end of the day, it's either going to go up and straight down, all of it, biggest bubble in history, or it's just basically going to go up, stabilize and just really just, well, not stabilize, but just find some middle ground eventually in this range, possibly in this range for a while, and then before it decides to keep going, because at the end of the day, the zigzag may not be as straightforward as I've done it here, right? As you see, the zigzags on these things can actually be quite drawn out. So it may be drawn out zigzag or whatever it is before you get another run again, but it just might be a bit deeper and a bit bigger. But at least that gives you an idea that, hey, you can play this game for the long run. If you just be careful and you follow the waves the way they have been repeating, you just keep following the pattern. And in this particular way, I just think it's just a matter of buying and selling at the right time. So that's sort of what I'm going to be following, tracking, and playing myself, because when you think about it, this has got a long way to go. And there's obviously pretty good opportunities ahead for some big moves. So I just try to be realistic. Like from at this point in time, I wouldn't buy, because I don't think it's ready to do what I'm saying that's going to do, right? I'm not saying that it's not going to do it, right? I'm just saying that right now it's maybe going to dip a little, right? So if you can get in a bit cheaper, that's good, especially if you're just getting into this. Get into this D wave, right? And then sell it again, and then buy into the last move, if that's the last move. And maybe altcoins are a good way to ride this as well. So keep that in mind. Hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thanks for watching.